Hey, if you're looking for a way to kill time while politicians work to kill your neighbor's rights, then the new not numbered bill being simultaneously introduced in both houses of the New Jersey legislature might be just your 30 pages of delight. But if you happen to believe in the right to keep and bear arms and think that politicians who swear oaths to both the New Jersey and U.S. constitutions ought to abide by those oaths, well then, the reading assignment might be a bit angering, to say the least. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. I know I don't sound like the Gardner Goldsmith with whom you're familiar, but I'm a shell of my former self right now due to some flu that I picked up. I'm sort of like the Constitution, a shell of its former self. But here is the story. Right now, the bill is non-numbered, and it's due to be introduced in the New Jersey Assembly as I record this video. It's called, at the moment, an act concerning the sale and possession of firearms and supplementing and amending various parts of the statutory law. Well, surely nothing hints at abiding by the Second Amendment's strict prohibition against any level of government infringing on the right to keep and bear arms than a lovely little title like that. And in that little bundle of commands and edicts that these Democrats in New Jersey are pushing, we find what surely are responses to the Supreme Court ruling in June, commonly known as the Bruen decision, in which the conservative majority wisely and correctly found against New York State demanding that people get government permission to own firearms. And we also find a wise and correct decision in which the Supreme Court said that the right to keep and bear arms extends beyond one's personal home. Of course it does, duh. But we also find in the Bruen decision their unwise and incorrect decision that says that states could block concealed carry in what states call sensitive areas. It was all packed together in Bruen. So, right now in New Jersey, in addition to their plan to force all gun owners to get insurance if they want to carry outside the home, can these people in New Jersey understand the phrase shall not be infringed? There is a lot more. The New Jersey bill sponsors, those being Senate President Nick Scutari, a Democrat, and Assemblymember Joe Danielson, a Democrat, have framed their response to Bruen in the form mostly of 5 giant categories of places that they, in their inimitable wisdom, have deemed sensitive and, of course, you know, where the natural right to self-defense and the Second Amendment somehow magically no longer apply. Let's take a partial look at those, shall we? First, once you get your insurance, you still cannot carry in, quote, places that are the site of core constitutional activity, such as, but not limited to, the exercise of First Amendment rights, or that are otherwise vital to the functioning of democracy and our system of government. That includes prohibitions of firearms in facilities within the criminal justice system. So that means pretty much any place. But let's look at more, just to see how wide-ranging is their taste for tyrannical prohibitions of your rights. Yes, New Jerseyans, get ready. And people outside can learn something by watching. Second, they offer this, quote, schools, universities, other educational institutions where people assemble for educational purposes and for the purpose of teaching, learning, research, and the pursuit of knowledge, which again could be anywhere, since the definition of said educational institutions is up to the government. Third, quote, parks and other recreation spaces, including locations where children congregate. Yeah, you get the drift. And don't get caught being chased by a rabid fox in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey because, well, the Pine Barrens is a public park now and you can't be armed there. Oh, and you can't carry any place within 100 feet of a locale that requires a government permit to operate. So enjoy figuring out that map before you step beyond your front door. where are you gonna go? If it's licensed to operate by the government, you're stuck. You can't bring your gun. Oh, and as the excellent YouTuber Liberty Doll observed, there's an added bonus for those who take their guns with them, but then discover that they can't take them into one of those permitted to operate places, you know, where the feudal lords have permitted people to actually run their own businesses. You can't bring your guns in there, so as she notes,
if you just so happen to have to go to any of these places, which you will because it's basically everywhere, you can leave your gun in the car, unloaded and locked in a case.
Which brings to mind the experience of Dr. Susanna Gracia Hupp, a survivor of the 1991 Luby's cafeteria shooting in Killeen, Texas. As she testified years later in the Texas legislature, it was she who, as the murderer was killing people all around her, and by the way, the killer took 23 lives that day, it was she who thought,
I got him. And I reached for my purse. He was maybe 12 feet away. You know, is it possible my gun could have jammed? Sure. Is it possible I could have missed? Sure. But I can tell you I've hit much smaller targets at much greater distances. But then I realized that a couple of months earlier I had made the stupidest decision of my life. I took my gun out of my purse and left it in my car. Because as you well know, in the state of Texas, it's sometimes a felony offense to carry a gun in your purse. I can tell you that I'm not mad at the guy that did this. As he continued, it was obvious that he was a madman. My father, at that point, said, I've got to do something. I've got to do something. He's going to kill everybody in here. And he rushed the man. No way. This guy turned, shot him in the chest. He went down, was obviously mortally wounded. For whatever reason, that made the man change directions and go off to my left. Shortly thereafter, someone at the back of the restaurant broke out a window. When I saw what looked like an opportunity to escape, I turned around and I grabbed my mother by the shirt and I said, come on, we've got to run, we've got to get out of here. And then my feet grew wings and I was out the back window. As soon as I got out, I realized that my mother had not followed me out. And as I learned from the police officers, she had crawled over to where my father was and cradled him until the guy got back around to her, put the gun to her head. She looked up at him, put her head down, and he pulled the trigger. My parents had just had their 47th wedding anniversary. She wasn't going anywhere. As I mentioned, I'm not really mad at the guy that did this. And I'm certainly not mad at the guns that did this. They didn't walk in there by themselves and pull their own triggers. The guy that did it was a lunatic. That's like being mad at a rabid dog. I'm mad at my legislators for legislating me out of the right to protect myself and my family. I would much rather be sitting in jail with a felony offense on my head and have my parents alive.
And you know, to this batch of gun grabbers in New Jersey, it makes no difference whatsoever that you're a God-created human being with the natural right to self-defense. These tax-paid pork peddlers will be sure to remind you that they have armed officers of the state who can attack you when you dare to try to stand up for yourself and God's design for equal rights. By the way, this proposal also mandates that if you want to get a gun license, you have to cough up 4 character references who will be interviewed, so-called interviewed, by the cops. Well, on the subject of fine character, how about this? The legislation is supported by Governor Phil Murphy, the Democrat, that classy chap who, when asked by Tucker Carlson to explain how he could square his COVID lockdowns with the Bill of Rights, guffawed and with great jocularity said,
"That's above my pay grade, Tucker, so I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights when we did this."
All of which ought to have inspired multitudes to ostracize that foul political animal in an instant. We will keep track of this, everybody. Watch New Jersey and your state. For example, in certain other areas, such as out in California, certain localities have been pushing to mandate insurance to be able to get a gun. We'll let you know what happens in New Jersey. We'll let you know what the New Jersey Devils are up to. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thanks for being kindred spirits. Please visit MRCTV.org and visit the MRC site. Remember, the Halloween items are there. They're looking really cool. We'll see you on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. The Facebook page is open. We'll see you on Rumble, where they don't censor us. Hit the plus sign. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on YouTube. Check that you're subscribed. We'll see you in the comments section as well. And we'll see you on Rumble. Rumble. Yay. Can we say yay, Rumble? We'll see how Rumble starts panning out. Could be pretty interesting. On Gab, I'm at Gardner Goldsmith, and on Twitter, I'm at Gard Goldsmith. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.